Okay, so, all right. Hey, Kristen. Hi. So let's introduce ourselves. Let's start with Ed.
Hi, I'm Etta Walker.
Robin Moscato.
Lance Chafee.
François, Building Cattaraugus.
Kristen Chambers.
Sue Rose. And Athena Bodine Podcast. We're so happy that you came. You're a partner organization to the village. And I think
Well, I'm happy to be here.
so. If you can talk and then we can have some questions. right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I thought I would just give a generalized overview today. I did bring some information for those that are interested. Some is, again, very generalized, others are more specific. And then if there's any questions or concerns, I'll answer the best that I can. And we also have, if there's anything more specific or individualized that anybody is interested in, you can just let me know this way and I can get it to the correct personnel. So Department of Aging, every county in the United States has one, or its equivalent of it. New York State has one in every county. We are under the acronym of NYSOPA, which is New York State Office of Aging, and a wide variety of programming and services. Department of Aging is designed to be available to folks 60 and over, for whatever need they may have. We also have within our department what's known as New York Connects, and this is also across the state of New York, designed to help folks of any age with any form of disability or long-term care need. So essentially, our office can assist or provide guidance and information from birth to death for any individual. But I'm going to focus on the Department of Aging services and programs available. That's mostly within the age group that you folks focus on as well. So our overreaching goal is to help folks maintain as much independence and community living as it is safe and is by, abiding by their personal desires. Most folks have the desire to remain in the community, remain in their home. Some folks are more open to alternatives if it's warranted, and we are there to provide some information to them on that as well. So our goal is to really empower individuals to be as safe and independent as possible. And that can be through a variety of programs and services. Sometimes it's linking them with the appropriate entitlements that allow their finances to go a little bit further. Perhaps that's what's known as SNAP, it's the food stamps. Under the Medicaid umbrella, there's a variety of programs that can assist folks. And it's not all black and white. So many people hear Medicaid and think it's just a very strict financial boundary that is set up. And while that is true, they do have a financial threshold. There's a lot of variance in that. So one of the programs that is really wonderful and can help a great deal, it's considered Medicaid, but it's not full Medicaid of all the medical benefits and all. And that is called the Medicare Savings Plan, MSP. And essentially what that does is it does look at income, either for individual or married couple, but that can reimburse the Medicare Part B premium that is automatically taken out once you reach Social Security age and receive Medicare. I don't know the exact figure for this current year, but it's pushing close to $200. I think it's 175, 185, something, 230. Oh, wow, so it went over. Okay, so there is that program for reimbursement, and sometimes it's even just a partial reimbursement, but that's more cash in the pocket of the individual, which we all know can go a great deal. So we provide education about those various entitlement programs. HEAP is another very important program. One of the best ones, in my opinion, out there, and really one of the easiest ones to get. Yeah, it's a huge help, especially when winters are so unpredictable. A matter of weeks ago, we had those very frigid temperatures
It's a
and
heating assistant.
heating assistance, yeah, heating energy assistance program. So that also is more income-based, but it has a far healthier threshold than many of the other programs do. And the regular program is a one-time application and where you identify your heating provider, whether it's natural gas, propane. Some folks use pellets and can get an allotment for that. There is a stipend sent directly to the heating provider. So it's automatically applied to your bill. And in some cases, people can run off that credit for the entire winter months. And if they're on the budget plan, then come the warmer months, it's a little more feasible. There are some emergency benefits there as well. If there's a termination notice for the primary heating source or the electric source, for folks who use propane, if they get so low on a Thursday afternoon and it's expected to be below freezing, there's an emergency benefit so they don't have to cough up $1,000 or more to fill the tank. So it really is a good program. So we look at that piece of things and we want to make sure that people at least have that information. Whether they choose the programs or not is up to them. But if they do want to pursue and need some assistance, we can guide them on that. We try to provide education and awareness on some of the more home-based services for those who may not have the same degree of mobility or transportation or availability as they used to have based on health or otherwise. So some of those, one of our most popular that people mostly associate with Department of Aging is our home delivered meal program, otherwise known as Meals on Wheels on the national level. But really good program for those who just can't get out anymore. They get some face-to-face contact, they get a warm meal, it's a freshly prepared meal Monday through Friday. We have the dining sites scattered throughout the county for those who aren't homebound but want that social opportunity and warm meal without having to exert the expense or the energy to do so. We also instituted a little more than a year ago, I guess, what we call simply the grab and go, which is that happy medium. I don't want to sit down with everybody, but I'm not homebound. Let me come pick up the meal and be on my way. So that's a nice addition to our good nutrition program.
Can I say something about meals?
Absolutely.
Because I deliver.
Oh, good.
And a lot of people think that it is people that are totally homebound,
Right.
that they can't get out. And I want to say, I'm trying to think of any of my deliveries. Almost nobody is homebound. And it's a good meal, but they can share it with their family. They have a spouse, they get 2 meals. But it's not strictly for somebody who can't get out of the house. So if you have a busy social life and you don't want to cook, you can get the meals.
Well, I'll give a caveat to that.
Okay.
For the delivery service, we do look at homebound or mostly homebound.
Mhm.
We're not as strict as some other programs such as the rehab services following hospitalization. That's all or nothing. You know, we give some variance to getting out to your doctors. Your daughter's in town, wants to take you out to dinner, that's great, go enjoy yourself. However, if it is somebody who maybe has some restrictions, but still goes out twice a week to Tim's to have coffee or bingo or this or that, we're going to encourage more of the dining participation of it. So you're right, we're not going to be so strict as to say all or nothing, you're homebound or you're not, but we have some variance, and that may change even by community. So like, we'll say Limestone, for example. People that they may have vehicles, they may be able to get out and about, but there's no close dining site. So it's not financially um feasible to expect them to drive to Allegheny every day for that warm meal. So there's some exceptions that way. So we try to really individualize all that we do. So yeah, some will come to us as a result of having been in the hospital and recovery, and then get going back to kind of their previous routine, and don't think to let us know that maybe they're a little more active. But we really try to serve the best way for that particular individual or family. But many find it helpful. I hear mostly good reports than negative. Some are nice that, some will save them for the weekend. So maybe they had a friend come over to treat them to lunch, so now they have a weekend meal that they could put in or something. Our nutrition program is probably one of our strongest programs that we have. Some folks require some in-home care and assistance. Well, maybe that's some basic housekeeping and errand running. Maybe that's helping getting in and out of the tub due to mobility and safety issues. We try to let them know what possibilities are out there. This area geographically has always been very underserved in that particular area. It's even worse after COVID. That doesn't mean it's impossible, but there are some options available, again, to try to encourage that safety and independence living in the community. One of our other strong programs, which we are always trying to strengthen more, is our volunteer program. We are in affiliation with a federal program called RSVP, which is Retired and Senior Volunteer Program. A lot of our folks are meal deliverers, and we see a great deal there. We're always looking for more though. But I did bring a listing of a wide variety of opportunities available through the RSVP. If anybody is interested, it's not only meals. I'll just pass them if you want them, take them. If not, that's fine. So there's an RSVP, I believe, is open to folks 55 and older, if memory serves me correctly. So that's one exception to us. But Ellen is our program director for RSVP, so I brought some cards for her too. One very new program, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned it to you folks, because perhaps there'll be some interest in this, or you'll know people who may be interested in a volunteer capacity. It's brand new to our county. We learned about it maybe 2 weeks ago. And it's more or less ready to go with the exception of having volunteers available to do so. But this is in conjunction with Center for Elder Law and Justice, which is based in Buffalo. We refer to them in their acronym as CELJ. We have a strong collaboration with them in a variety of ways. Sometimes that's legal services to individuals or couples. Sometimes that's preparing for long-term care Medicaid services, which is a whole different ballgame than other Medicaid programs. We participate in a multidisciplinary team, which is designed to help become aware of and assist folks who may be victims of financial exploitation through family scams, agencies, what have you. So that's very strong collaboration. But one of the new programs that they want to bring to Cattaraugus County, it has a strong foundation in Monroe County. It's very active, and now they're trying to spread it. And then this is called the Financial Management Assistance Program. And what their hope is to, receive referrals for interested individuals who may be struggling with, basic budgeting, not falling victims to scams, to really come up with a better financial plan than what they've got, especially with a lot of the lower income folks that we have in our area, how to stretch that dollar a little bit more. So they're looking for volunteers who can work in that capacity one-on-one with individuals to really sort through a lot of what they've got going on and become, again, educated on what programs are out there and looking at, you're paying for Sirius XM radio. Do you ever listen to it? Kind of thing, and working on that to better their overall picture. So I brought a few things on that, and again, it's very new. If anybody is interested in any kind of volunteer opportunities, including this, you would communicate with Ellen and to learn all of what's involved in that. Okay. Those are Ellen's cards, yes.
Is there training for volunteers?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. There is an application process, background check, and training.
One of these minutes, I'll go through just.
Yes, please, thank you. One of the newer programs we have through our county Office of Aging, it's it's roughly a year old, and to our knowledge, we're the only one in New York State doing that, and that is incorporating a clinical social worker in respect to meeting the needs of individuals in their home that can't access other services for. Really, we're selling it as life adjustment issues. It doesn't have to be exclusively a diagnosed mental health problem, although that's very, very common. Adjustment to a new diagnosis. Grief and loss is huge.
Yeah.
Whether that's the loss of a spouse or best friend, or the loss of your family home because you moved into subsidized housing. That's a very significant loss for many. As we age, we are all much more prone to any kind of mental illness, primarily clinical depression and anxiety. Some medical concerns increase the risk of that. We know there is a very, very strong correlation between cardiac disease and clinical depression. You may never have been bothered by a depression episode in your life prior to, but with the onset of some kind of cardiac illness, that increases the odds significantly. Those two things are huge adjustments in and of themselves, let alone anything else.
How about dementia?
Dementia, we have two things come to mind on that. Number one, in relation to the clinical program, we can do cognitive assessments. No, we choose to do the MOCA, which is the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. It's a little more detailed. It's a little more informative to any medical providers that may be involved in the fact that it'll pinpoint what area of the brain may be affected if there's indication of any kind of cognitive impairment happening. So I am trained and certified to do that. I can go to the home, people can come to the office, that kind of thing to do. And then share with either their primary and or a specialist if they're already working with one, if they choose to do that. Some will call me and say, gee, I'm just kind of curious. Sometimes I think I have something to worry about. I'm not sure. And others say, I know there's a problem. My family tells me a problem. I guess I might as well find out and let me start with this. 10, 15 minutes is all it takes. As an extension of that, or really independently as well, we have a very, very strong caregiver services division. We are there to help support the caregiver of you know, whether it's my 85-year-old mother who has Alzheimer's or my 10-year-old autism child, I mean, you know, who also has some physical disability. Again, our primary focus is going to be on the older adults, but not exclusively.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so a very strong caregiver services division. We would aim to help reduce stress, reduce barriers, increase knowledge about whatever disease is happening requiring the caregiver duties, and link to a variety of other resources that might be available. Mhm. So certainly it's out there. And anyone who's ever been a caregiver at any point in their life knows that there are inherent challenges that come with that. And when that dependency grows or that connectedness grows, it tends to lead to stress, regardless of how much you love the person. That does not really factor in, because sometimes our frustration grows the more we do love the person, because we just want things to be different and better. We want the person back. Excuse me. Those two things then, if, you know, there is a suspicion of early cognitive impairment and there is a caregiver, we also have a program available that's known as SHARE. It's an evidence-based program designed for those in the early stages who have a caregiver and really want to be in the driver's seat of kind of planning out their care for the future years, regardless of the progression of the disease. We never know how it's going to progress in anyone. We just know that it will. So this evidence-based program known as SHARE offers a really thorough and planful approach to the individual saying, this is important to me. Rather than 3 years down the road, the kids arguing, well, mom wouldn't want that. Well, yes, she would. I'm sure she told me that. No, she wouldn't. And then, you know, so here, mom is able to say, this I'm open to. This is my best case scenario. I'll be open to this. Do your best to avoid here. And really having a thought out plan. And at the conclusion of that program, then they have a truly written plan for everyone to refer to. So when mom's illness progresses and she can't speak for herself as much, we have the written plan. So that's a very powerful program as well. So that's one of the more exciting things, and I'm kind of biased in saying that because I'm very excited for that. It's a nice blend because I've been a clinical social worker for a number of years, working primarily with adults, but have been back at Department of Aging for the last, 8-9 years in a different capacity. But so being able to not only advocate, but to really see the need and then to be able to support the need using these two roles, it really makes us unique, and we're helping a lot of people. So it's very worthwhile. I mentioned NYSOFA as the New York State Office of Aging. They do a lot of research and then promotion to really bring a lot of services, some technology based, some not, to older Americans. One of the things that they have that I think is pretty good. I have to say I don't get a lot of feedback on it, but some of that's just the nature of, you know, letting people know about it and then not having reason to follow up again. But this is an online, more or less education program, I would describe it as. It's called Get Set Up. That's right, you're familiar. So lots of variety of classes and courses available free of charge.
They're very good.
Is that right?
I
Good.
did. Kathy Mackey actually had me send somebody from Channel 1 and we supported it. But
Wonderful.
before I promoted it. Shared it,
Mhm.
but I tried it.
Good, good.
So, and it is, but every day you can get all kinds of.
Yeah, when I look at it and talk about it, I just think, you know, the possibilities are really quite numerous. And what you can be, you need all kinds of interest levels and it can be done in a group or in individual for those who aren't as active and whatnot. So, and then, you know, we try to have some technology grants available to provide a variety of things that may be helpful to folks. Um, you know, the Amazon Echo machines, we have found to be very helpful to reduce some isolation and loneliness, but also for safety features too. If, you know, the push button medical alert things aren't really reasonable, then they can just say, you know, Alexa, call 911, and have a similar purpose. So we have that. New York State Office also, has a caregiver platform called True Alta, which is really very valuable because again, you can access it at any time. There are support groups, educational videos. You can find something of, you know, specific to Parkinson's disease or specific to Alzheimer's with this behavior that's new and different and become educated and problem solve and learn some better coping skills in that way for a new challenge. And so that's a very good program. I did bring, I have a couple of additional things. If anybody's interested, these are just a quick little blurb about the MOCA and the share. Let's get that. I brought some directory of services, which is really outdated. It is, some of it is, not all of it, as is our website. I've been squawking for months that our website is woefully out of date. I'm told it's under construction. But
It should always be.
anyway, so there are directory of services and an
You-
overall pamphlet on your connects as
That's
well.
online, you can download it too.
Oh, okay, very good. That I did not know, so thank you for that.
Unless this is a new one.
Mhm. And I did bring some, they're business card styles, but it really kind of highlights all our variety of services.
That's great, yes.
So,
How many, do people know about services of the Department of Aging in the community?
Do you have a
Well, we
large
hope so.
Participation rate?
I'm sorry.
Do you have a large participation?
Oh, yes,
rate?
we are all endlessly busy in a variety of, you know, capacities. Some folks are very much aware, you know, I can remember fielding phone calls from, I turn 60 next week, what can you do for me? You know, to an 85-year-old being referred from the hospital saying, I didn't know these people existed. And we've been around for almost 60 years, so, you know, so it really depends on, sometimes it's who you know, it's having friends that have had experience, it's the hospitals, it's the doctors. It's, we get out there as much as we can to really promote. We'll do different workshops, say a heat workshop throughout the county. We'll travel and set up shop at one of the dining sites and be available to assist with applications or answer questions. Doing things like this, you know, just really trying to get the word out there. So, having been a caseworker now in the role that I'm in, you know, I see a different population than what we can serve, you know, through our volunteers and through our dining sites and things like that. So, I do know many of our communities that still have dining sites have a pretty decent, I mean, Olean is always one of the higher numbers. Delavan has an amazing number of participants at their dining site, and we try to get out and do different groups. We'll have a support group for caregivers. I'm in the process of coordinating one with the emphasis on wellness and resiliency for caregivers, trying to do different things like that too. So it's not all we never want to come across as deficit based because we're not. We want to be able to empower folks, but in order to do that, you have to know what some of the deficits are to help accommodate some of that.
Are there many other clinical licensed clinical social worker at the department?
I'm the only one.
Got a big job.
Mhm.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Are there financial limitations or how do you spell it?
It depends on the program, really. Now, some of the entitlement programs, such as the SNAP HEAP and Medicaid, they all start at the federal level, filter down. Some are very concrete. HEAP is, if you're $1 over, sorry. Medicaid has some of that variance depending on which Medicaid program you're looking at. Our nutrition programs has no barriers at all. When we meet someone to assess for the home delivered meals, we will ask about income simply to know, should we let them know about these other services? Could that be a potential benefit to them? But our nutrition programs, we don't look at anything money wise. And it's all, if any money is given in return, it's a voluntary contribution. Nothing is ever expected. We do not demand or ask. Some counties do, but we don't. We keep it open. It's a voluntary contribution. And that's true for the delivery piece as well as the dining site. So some may have a little donation box there that if somebody wants to give a couple dollars or something. So
So like your caregiver counseling or your housekeeping services, there's no,
caregiver,
Income
there is no
guidelines.
income guidelines at all, for the generalized services. Now, when we get into something such as a short-term respite, depending on what programs, but that's more internal for us to decide. And if any program, does expect a contribution from the individual, that is all spelled out very clearly right before the services ever start. So if we use like our aid service or providing one of the medical or beepers to somebody, the government says, yes, there are certain thresholds we have to look at. And if they are over, then what we will do is only ask a percentage of the cost. So some people may sign up to get one of the medical alerts and one of the aids at a 5% cost share. So that is all laid out in written form and verbal. They're given the idea of what that 5% looks like, and then they will be billed for that every month. And another person may have 65% cost share. So.
and it says like
I've got,
services, so you may coordinate with other agencies or resources in the community.
We do the best we can when appropriate, but sometimes that coordination or collaboration is simply to provide that information to the individual. Hey, have you consulted with Veteran Services to make sure you're receiving everything? Would you like us to help set up an appointment or things like that? But as far as providing that specific information on behalf of a different department, we can't do that, but we will make sure folks are armed or work with us to set up the appointment that they need.
are you able to go to, have services to like Eden Heights or Field of Dreams? Can you
No,
take care of those people?
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
Well, I didn't know if you could supply services if they are already residents at Field of Dreams or Eden Heights.
Our services are only for folks within a community setting. So the short answer would be no to that. But we would encourage them to communicate with the staff there to help meet whatever identified needs there may be. Does that make sense? We can't go into a facility that is designed to help meet the needs.
Like after the total care.
total senior, total health care, yes, senior care. Yeah, they're a separate entity. Now, again, we can educate, we can refer, we can collaborate in the sense of, hey, I think this person would be a great match. They're agreeable to a visit? Can we set up a tour? But no, they all have other, possibilities to help meet the needs of the folks who are enrolled there. Now, total senior care is a little bit different because those folks do live in the community.
Right.
So they may say, you know, Joe's only coming to us 2 days a week. He could really benefit from the home delivered meals the other 3, in which case, then
Yeah.
that's appropriate and that's
Good.
fine. But as far as, say, a support group or, that's really all I can think of off the top of my head of what might be needed at an assisted living facility, because they wouldn't be eligible for entitlements. Now, if their caregiver needed some additional support or information, they could reach out to us. But as far as the individual already residing in a facility that's designed to help meet all their basic needs, there wouldn't, that would be really counterintuitive or counterproductive. Does that answer?
Yeah, it does. Not the answer I wanted to hear, but yes, it
Oh.
answers.
You mentioned grief and loss. Do you have actual support groups for people experiencing grief and loss?
I have had, there's currently not one running. I'm certainly open to doing another one. I think there's great value in a support group setting for grief and loss. Not everybody shares that opinion, and especially if their grief is still pretty raw within months or so. So sometimes it's a hard draw, but I'm certainly open to you know, to hosting and providing another group, you know, specific to grief and loss, because it is so important. And until you experience grief yourself in the truest sense, you don't have any clue what's involved. And even if you do have experience with some significant losses, each loss is a little bit different. So I think too many people try to tackle it on their own, and it's unfortunate because it's a big one.
The other day, we had a group discussion with mention other things like that. And we were talking about sometimes different agencies might offer different things. Do you coordinate with the hospital and other things like that to make sure you're not both offering a dementia program or a grief program or something like that? Is there coordination between different, you and maybe Directions and Independent Living? You mentioned New York Connects.
New York Connects, there is a very direct connection with Directions and Independent Living. And that's true across the state because there is a collaboration between the Office of Aging and then what is known as Independent Living Centers. And here in our area, that would be Directions and Independent Living. So there is that direct thing there. As far as awareness of not duplicating groups or services, it's more informal.
Okay.
Then, I mean, there's no like joint task force or something,
Right,
say you
right.
do this, I'll do
Right.
that kind of thing, but
Right.
they're more informal.
Thank you.
I know for me, one thing the Department of Aging has been a godsend for is the annual opportunity to talk with a counselor about the best supplement.
Oh, the health insurance, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned
Program
that.
from year to year, it changes,
It
whether it's
sure
a
does.
prescription, program.
Yeah.
Something.
Or even your own health needs,
Oh,
what
absolutely.
changes, for sure. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is a very strong program that isn't as widely known, I don't think.
Is that right?
there's certain circumstances that it's really well known, but not throughout the year, I guess. We have, what is known as the High Cap program, the Health Insurance and Information Counseling Assistance Program. And, the two ladies we have right now, their sole focus is to become educated on all the supplemental plans available to Medicare.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's overwhelming, you know, if you try to do it on your own, it can be very
tried to do it
confusing.
on my
Yeah,
own and
well,
ran into hurdles.
yeah, reach out for sure. And these two ladies will get information specific to you to help get an idea of what your health needs are specific to prescriptions.
Exactly.
And look at a couple other factors and come back to you to say, these are likely the three best plans that you can choose from. They won't tell you what to do, but they'll explain to you why they came to those conclusions and what benefit there is to you in this and how much it will cost and whatnot. And then walk you through switching if need be. So open enrollment time, that certainly is very busy. But sometimes people could switch at any time during the year too.
Yes.
So they are very, very valuable. There is not an assigned cost to that. Again, it would be looking at a voluntary contribution or a suggested contribution. So that is a very good program that not everybody is aware of. And that's available to anyone on Medicare.
Exactly.
So,
I'm
if-
88 this year.
Yeah.
I've used it every year.
so
since I was
yeah, 88, or if you're a
65.
50-year-old who's on disability,
Mhm.
and when you get Social Security disability after 2 years, you get Medicare, regardless of your age. So it's available to them, and that's their whole focus. So that's a very good.
I used the services also, and, she assured me that I was on the best plan for my needs, and that was reassuring.
Yes, yeah.
Mhm.
Because that's a worthwhile, necessary expense to have. You want to make sure
Mhm.
that not to get disappointed down the line. Sure.
What about technical? I would imagine that most of the people, not all, but most have some kind of device, whether it's a phone. And I know the department also gives. Right. But what about the problem, really, that even our villages, people don't know. You know, they have problems with using it or using some programs or getting confused or not knowing this. Do you have that type of system?
Sadly, no. It's something that is discussed, and that is a wish list item, I guess I would
We
say.
have a few
But Mary
that-
Mary has mentioned that there's help at the library for your technical. You can bring your device in,
Yes.
right, and
Yeah.
somebody will, figure out what you're doing wrong and how you need to reset,
Yeah, they have a couple different people, and you can make an appointment and tell them, you want iPad or iPhone, whichever, and they will get you the right person.
That's good to know.
I've gone a couple times.
Mhm.
Well, my experience has been, it's been, I don't want to say all or nothing, I guess, but there's still large pockets out there that don't have anything and don't even want to consider anything.
The web.
That's right, the internet availability for sure. Yeah, there's still a very big area out there. That's right. Right. There has been a wish list item of being able to get some kind of connection, with, college students or this or that, to be able to provide some kind of voluntary education one-on-one for some things, especially when, there's a need there. And if the person can learn some basic skills, then they could really benefit from it.
Virtual counseling, the virtual application.
Someday, I'll get there. So one other thing I will mention, this is, it's connected, but it's a little bit of a side note too, is, New York State is on this push to try to get agencies, organizations, businesses, whatnot, all what they are calling this trauma-informed care protocol. Really becoming knowledgeable and educated and really incorporating trauma-informed care into their policies and procedures or bylaws, things of this sort, to really have a common language and approach to working with people, whoever they are, in whatever capacity you are. So I throw that out there only as if, as an organization, that is something that you are interested in becoming that kind of trauma-informed care agency. Let me know. I'm one of the few trainers in the area that we have to help promote all this. So that's sort of a side note, but it's supported by Department of
What do
Aging.
you mean by trauma informed?
Great question. The premise is being able to recognize, respect, and approach anything through a trauma-informed care lens, meaning the awareness that to some degree or another, each and every one of us has had some direct or indirect experience with trauma and what that does to us as an individual. So that angry young man out there may not just be an angry young man. He may be dealing with a lot of very significant issues, and to being able to work from that understanding, I think. So the idea is to, as individuals and as agencies, really have this shift in perspective of working with individuals, recognizing individuals, and how can we as people, but also as an agency or an organization, support the knowledge and understanding and welcoming.
So would that like extend to like police departments?
Love it.
Departments,
One hopes.
First thing
Mm.
comes to
One
mind.
first
Yeah.
responders?
Yeah, there, I mean, every facet in our communities could benefit, and the goal will benefit, and so as a community as a whole, all of us benefit from all these different facets. So from schools to hospitals, to community civic groups, to police, to legislative bodies, to anybody who is involved with people, basically, which is all of us to some degree. So there's a lot of value. It's certainly going to be a work in progress. There are some communities in some states out there who have really taken this and done some wondrous things as a result. Oregon, I think, is one of them. One of the Midwestern, I want to say Illinois, really has done a big push on some things. So just this awareness and shift in perspective to be able to make agencies and organizations a stronger entity to then welcome and work with. Because any potential new member, can come in with circumstances in their background that may not be initially apparent or may be, and you don't want those behaviors to immediately say, we don't want them, but to be able to shift that to say, this person is coming to us now for a reason. How can they help us, but how can we help them and work together? Any other thoughts, questions, interest levels, things that I didn't touch on that you have questions about, that you would like to learn more? Anyone up there in Zoom land?
Well, Barney's on too. That's it.
Oh,
Yeah, just let me ask one, like, if you call the general number,
Mhm.
is that like somebody that is knowledgeable as an intake person? Cause I'm rambling, I'm not really sure what organization or what
Mhm.
branch I need from you, so is that all you have to do is call the general number?
You call our main office number, which is the 373-8032. You will get linked with one of our intake specialists who can either, if you know you're calling for health insurance counseling, okay, let's get you there, or I don't really know what I need, I just know that something's gotta be different. They'll work with, you on the phone initially, do a lot of screening, to make sure that we get you in the right pathway, whether that's entitlements or caregiver or something else, and, then help link. And that may be, to a caseworker within Department of Aging to further explore those identified needs. Or it could be, say, directions or someone else under the New York Connects umbrella. Mhm.
Okay,
I,
thank
wa-
you.
I wanted to just say you've come a long, long way. I worked for the original Office for the Aging with Kathy Horner as the director. There were two paid employees, one more employee that was paid through Vista, and then five of us who were part-time. And wow, it's just amazing how
It
this has
really
grown.
is. Yeah, I was telling Athena, this is like my second go round with Office of Aging, and I first started 28, 30 years ago. And just in that time frame, seeing the growth of the programs, the growth of the staff, and there's more coming all the time. And it's exciting.
Mhm.
And very good, because the population isn't gonna go away.
Right.
So,
And it's getting older.
it is, it really is.
Older.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
That's true.
yes.
Is this county, or is it different from one county to another? I mean, some counties may focus more on the Department of Aging, and this county happens to be pretty good about it. It's
There's a basic framework and outline across the state of things that, have to be offered, that have to be part of it. And some of that comes down from the federal government under the Older Americans Act. So there is that kind of framework, that foundation that needs to be out there. Some counties have strengths where others may not. If we look at home care availability, that's not directly related to Office of Aging, but certainly something that we get calls about all the time and need to be able to help direct people. Now, Erie County probably has 4 dozen agencies to choose from all throughout. We have one who can't even keep staffing on more than a 6-month rotation. So that's a big challenge, so while it's no direct reflection on the Office of Aging, it is something that we have to respond to, because people call all the time, for mom can't put her beds together anymore, and I live an hour away, I have 3 kids, I can't get there each weekend or this or that or whatnot. So okay, let's see what possible solutions there may be. Maybe that's something device-based. Maybe it's a 30-day automatic dispenser. Maybe it's working with the pharmacy to get the pill packs where they put it all together for you for Monday morning, Monday night, Tuesday morning, Tuesday night. Maybe it's using word of mouth to hire somebody to come in to run that vacuum, to wipe down the bathtub because, we can't be falling head first into there all the time and things like that, as well as putting the meds together. So it's really a lot of problem solving. But the idea would be that if you're age 60 in Cattaraugus County or in Shenango County. You should be able to call your Office of Aging and get some of the generalized and.
Your answer brought up a question. What is the statistic for the percentage of population that is year 60 and above in the county?
That's a great question that I don't think I can accurately answer.
We have actually, I don't remember it up, but we had a group from, marketing group, seniors from, Venture University, take on our.
Okay,
client.
right.
And one of the things they did is these
Mhm.
statistics, so somewhere I'll
It-
send you this.
It's a pretty healthy percentage.
Yeah, I mean, just visually being around. them, you
That's
know.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it probably leads in the demographics of, and I'm sure it surpasses 20 somethings. Yeah. Mhm. I think, and maybe, I don't know if I'm right in this or not, because I'm certainly not educated on across the state, but I think we have some added challenges in Cattaraugus County that other ones may not face. We are an older populated county. We are a poor county. We are an unhealthy county. We are a very widespread county.
Six large, as far as land mass. in the
Yes,
state.
yeah. So I mean,
And the
even talking to,
distribution is strange, because you've got like only in here. and
right, all of that
geography
out
up
there. That's right. So I mean, we could talk to somebody, 3 counties over, and they'll say to me, what do you mean it takes you more than an hour to drive across your county? That's ridiculous. Well, it does, and that's not even corner to corner, but, yesterday I went to South Dayton. That's a little bit of a trek out there. And, we're fortunate that we can serve that area, and we do, but that's a unique challenge that I think that, someone in Erie County couldn't appreciate because they have all these hubs throughout.
And we also don't have public transportation and a lot of
Exactly.
services and after so many miles,
That's
whereas
Mhm.
people who need you might, I know Head Start and stuff, they have a mileage thing beyond that. I mean, they don't even get pizza delivery.
No, that's right.
Joking.
Well, no, it's very true because that has
Deliveries.
been, an issue in this county for decades. And,
Sure.
even, when you think of an older adult who needs to get to Roswell. And if they don't have a family and it's January and their neighbor isn't real comfortable driving them in winter in the city, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
And your lack of the community, like the computer
Right.
systems and so on, doesn't help that
Exactly.
either.
Yeah,
Yeah, unique challenge.
We certainly appreciate you sharing. This has been, I think, educational, and we have it taped, right? Recorded, I mean. So
Virtual
that-
tape.
And some of your newer programs that you say you could use some volunteers. Yeah, yeah. We'll have to look at that
Yeah.
and see what we can maybe.
Well, everybody knows what their own niche is and what their own comfort level is, but people just like your members of it's people who know people, and so this has potential to be a very valuable program, I think, and so when I learned about it, I told them 2 weeks from now, I know who I'm talking to about this. But, yeah,
Give me a few more of those tests.
this one here, these,
Yeah.
you take those.
But the training would be very important.
Yes.
And the other one that you mentioned about the trauma.
Trauma-informed care.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there might be, some of our members who have a professional background too.
But really, the training is designed for anybody. So from an individual and a collective level, we're all using this lens. Now, truthfully, I didn't even think about talking about that until I was about a block away, so I'm like, I could have something on it, but, yeah. But, I can email you something
Sure,
or whatever,
sure.
as,
And if there were, for example, a group of our, well, some of our members who were interested, somebody, they could arrange to have a little training.
yeah, so even if there was like a subgroup to bring it back to the
Right.
main, or your officers or your board of directors or whatever.
Right.
But, and it's available to anybody, more on an agency versus an individual level. Though. But,
Sure.
yeah, anybody can call and ask them, so.
Well, this is great. You're doing a wonderful.
Yeah,
service.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for thinking to invite us here, and,
Do you have any questions about us?
because I
Either-
remember
I
when you
guess,
came
yeah.
to us, and I
Right.
have in my office, some of your information hanging up, and I know.
And this is a
we
new,
have it in
we
the
have a
front.
new.
Yep, I got it.
This is access here.
Indeed.
Thank you, guys.
Yep, I
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thanks.
And thank you very much, Allison.
some
Appreciate it.
office here. So,
Bye.
hey,
Hey, Kristen.
Post our website.